Welcome to the Odyssey. Last time, Athene came down to Ithaca, disguised as a sea captain named Mentis, sat at Odysseus' table, and told his son Telemachus to do two things: call the men of Ithaca to an assembly, and order the suitors out of the house, then take a ship and go find out whether his father is alive. Telemachus went to bed that night, turning it over. This book is the next morning. One thing is worth knowing before it starts. An assembly on Ithaca is not a court. The men gather in the open ground, a herald puts the scepter into a speaker's hand, and whoever holds it may speak. Nothing said there is enforced by anyone except the men standing in the circle. And there has not been an assembly on Ithaca since Odysseus sailed for Troy 20 years ago. That is where we are. Book 2. Soon as the early, rosy-fingered dawn appeared, the dear son of Odysseus rose from bed, put on his clothes, slung his sharp sword about his shoulder, under his shining feet bound his fair sandals, and came forth from his chamber in bearing like a god. Straightway he bade the clear-voiced heralds summon to an assembly the long-haired Achaeans. Those summoned, and these gathered very quickly. So when they were assembled and all had come together, he went himself to the assembly, holding in hand a brazen spear, yet not alone. 2 swift dogs followed after, and marvelous was the grace Athene cast about him, that all the people gazed as he drew near. He sat down in his father's seat, the elders made him way. The first to speak was Lord Aegyptius, a man bowed down with age who knew 1,000 things. His dear son Antiphus, a spearman, had gone with God, like Odysseus in the hollow ships to Ilios, famed for horses. The savage Cyclops killed him in the deep cave, and on him made a supper last of all. 3 other sons there were. 1 joined the suitors, Eurymachus, and 2 still kept their father's farm. Yet not because of these did he forget to mourn and miss that other. With tears for him he thus addressed the assembly, saying, "Hearken now, men of Ithaca, to what I say. Never has our assembly once been held, no single session, since royal Odysseus went away in hollow ships. Who is it calls us now in such a fashion? Who has such urgent need? Young or old is he? Has he heard tidings of the armies coming, which he would plainly tell to us so soon as he has learned? Or has he other public matter to announce and argue? At any rate, good seems the man to me, a blessed man. May Zeus accomplish all the good his mind intends." As thus he spoke, the dear son of Odysseus rejoiced at what was said, and kept his seat no longer. He burned to speak. He rose up in the midst of the assembly, and in his hand a herald placed the scepter, a herald named Pisanor, discreet of understanding. Then turning first to the old man, he thus addressed him: "Sire, not far off is he, as you full soon shall know, who called the people hither, for it is I especially whom grief befalls. No tidings of the armies coming have I heard, which I would plainly tell to you so soon as I have learned. Nor have I other public matter to announce and argue. Rather it is my private need, ill falling on my house in twofold wise. The first, I lost my noble father, who was formerly your king, kind father as e'er was, and now there comes a thing more grievous still, which soon will utterly destroy my home and quite cut off my substance. Suitors beset my mother sorely against her will, sons of the very men who are the leaders here. They shrink from going to the house of Icarius, her father, to let him count the bride gifts of his daughter, and give her then to whom he will, whoever meets his favor. But haunting this house of ours day after day, killing our oxen, sheep, and fatted goats, they hold high revel, drinking sparkling wine with little heed. Much goes to waste, for there is no man here fit like Odysseus to keep damage from our doors. We are not fit ourselves to guard the house. Attempting it, we should be pitiful, unskilled in conflict. Guard it. I would, if only strength were mine. For deeds are done not to be longer borne, and with no decency my house is plundered. Shame you should feel yourselves, and some respect as well for neighbors living near you, and awe before the anger of the gods, lest haply they may turn upon you, vexed with your evil courses. Nay, I entreat you by Olympian Zeus, and by that justice which dissolves and gathers men's assemblies, forbear, my friends. Leave me to pine in bitter grief alone, unless indeed my father, good Odysseus, ever in malice wronged the mailed Achaeans, and in return for that you now with malice do me wrong, urging these people on. Better for me it were you should yourselves devour my stores and herds. If you devoured them, perhaps some day there might be payment made, for we would constantly pursue you through the town, demanding back our substance till all should be restored. Now woes incurable you lay upon my heart." In wrath he spoke, and dashed the scepter to the ground, letting his tears burst forth, and pity fell on all the people. So all the rest were silent, no man dared to make Telemachus a bitter answer. Antinous alone made answer, saying, "Telemachus, of the lofty tongue and the unbridled temper, what do you mean by putting us to shame? On us you would be glad to fasten guilt. I tell you, the Achaean suitors are not at all to blame. Your mother is to blame, whose craft exceeds all women's. The 3rd year is gone by, and fast the 4th is going, since she began to mock the hearts in our Achaean breasts. To all she offers hopes, has promises for each, and sends us messages, but her mind has a different purpose. Here is the last pretext she cunningly devised. Within the hall she set up a great loom and went to weaving. Fine was the web, and very large. And then to us said she, 'Young men who are my suitors, though royal Odysseus now is dead, forbear to urge my marriage till I complete this robe. Its threads must not be wasted, a shroud for Lord Laertes, against the time when the fell doom of death that lays men low shall overtake him. Achaean wives about the land, I fear, might give me blame if he should lie without a shroud, he who had great possessions.' Such were her words, and our high hearts assented. Then in the daytime would she weave at the great web, but in the night unravel, after her torch was set. Thus for 3 years she hid her craft, and cheated the Achaeans. But when the 4th year came, as time rolled on, then at the last one of her maids, who knew full well, confessed, and we discovered her unraveling the splendid web. So then she finished it, against her will, perforce. Therefore to you the suitors make this answer, that you yourself may understand in your own heart, and that the Achaeans all may understand. Send forth your mother. Bid her to marry whomever her father wills, and him who pleases her. Or will she weary longer yet the sons of the Achaeans, mindful at heart of what Athene largely gave her, skill in fair works, a noble mind, and such a craft as we've never known in those of old, those who were long ago fair-haired Achaean women, Tyro, Alcmene, and crowned Mycenae, no one of whom had judgment like Penelope. And yet, in truth, in this she judged not wisely. For just so long shall men devour your life and substance, as she retains the mind the gods put in her breast at present. Great fame she brings herself, but brings on you the loss of large possessions. For we will never go to our estates, nor elsewhere either, till she shall marry an Achaean, whom she will." Then answered him, discreet Telemachus, Antinous, against her will. "I cannot drive from home the one who bore me and who brought me up. My father is away, alive or dead, and hard it were to pay the heavy charges to Icarius, which I needs must, if of my will alone I send my mother forth. For from her father's hand I shall meet ills, and heaven will send me more, when my mother calls upon the dread avengers as she forsakes the house. Blame too will fall upon me for mankind. Therefore that word I never will pronounce. And if your hearts chafe at your footing here, then quit my halls. Seek other tables and eat what is your own, changing from house to house. Or, if it seems to you more profitable and better to ruin the living of one man without amends, go wasting on. But I will call upon the gods that live forever, and pray that Zeus may grant deeds of requital. Then, beyond all amends, here in this house, you shall yourselves be ruined." So spoke Telemachus, and answering him, far-seeing Zeus sent forth a pair of eagles flying from a mountain peak on high. These for a time moved on along the wind, close by each other and with outstretched wings, but as they reached the middle of the many-voiced assembly, wheeling about, they briskly flapped their wings, glared at the heads of all, and death was in their eyes. Then, with their claws tearing each other's cheek and neck, they darted to the right, across the town and houses. Men marveled at the birds as they beheld, and pondered in their hearts what they might mean. And to the rest spoke old Lord Halitherses, the son of Master, for he surpassed all people of his time in understanding birds and telling words of fate. He with good will addressed them thus, and said, "Hearken now, men of Ithaca, to what I say, and to the suitors especially I speak, for over them rolls a great wave of woe. Odysseus will not long be parted from his friends, but even now is near, sowing the seeds of death and doom for all men here. Aye, and on many others too shall sorrow fall, on many of us who live in far-seeing Ithaca. But long ere that, let us consider how to check these men, or rather, let them check themselves. That shall be soon their gain. And not as inexpert I prophesy, but with sure knowledge. For this I say, all has come true, which I declared that day the Argive host took ship for Ilios, and with them also wise Odysseus went. I said that after suffering much, and losing all his men unknown to all, in the 20th year he should come home, and now it all comes true." Then answered him Eurymachus the son of Polybus, "Well, well, old man, go home and play the prophet to your children, or else they may have trouble in the days to come. About these matters I can prophesy much better than yourself. Plenty of birds flit in the sunshine, but not all are faithful. As for Odysseus, he died far away, and would that you had perished with him. You would not then be prating so of reading signs. Nor would you, when Telemachus is wroth, thus press him on, looking for him to send your house some gift. But this I tell you, and it shall be done. If you, who know all that an old man knows, delude this youth with talk, and urge him on to anger, it shall be in the first place all the worse for him, and he shall accomplish nothing by aid of people here, while on yourself, old man, we will inflict a fine which it will grieve you to the soul to pay. Bitter indeed shall be your sorrow. And to Telemachus, here before all, I give this warning. Let him instruct his mother to go to her father's house. They there shall make the wedding and arrange the many gifts which should accompany a well-loved child. For not, I think, till then will the sons of the Achaeans quit their rough courtship. No fear have we of any man, not even of Telemachus, so full of talk. Nothing we care for auguries which you, old man, idly declare, making yourself the more detested. So now again his substance shall be miserably devoured, and no return be made, so long as she delays the Achaeans with her marriage. Moreover, waiting here day after day, as rivals for her charms, we will not seek out other women whom it might well become a man to marry." Then answered him discreet Telemachus, Eurymachus, and all you other lordly suitors, "This will I urge no longer. I have no more to say. For now the gods and all the Achaeans understand. But give me a swift ship with 20 comrades to help me make a journey up and down the sea, for I will go to Sparta and to sandy Pylos, to learn about the coming home of my long-absent father. Perhaps some man may tell me, or I may catch a rumor sent from Zeus, which oftenest carries tidings. If I shall hear my father is alive and coming home, worn as I am, I might endure for 1 year more. But if I hear that he is dead, no longer with the living, I will at once return to my own native land, and pile his mound and pay the funeral rites, full many as are due, and I will give my mother to a husband." So saying, he sat down, and up rose Mentor, who was the friend of gallant Odysseus. On going with the ships, Odysseus gave him charge of all his house, that they should heed their elder and he keep all things secure. He with good will addressed them thus, and said, "Hearken now, men of Ithaca, to what I say. Never again let sceptred king in all sincerity be kind and gentle, nor let him in his mind heed righteousness. Let him instead ever be stern, and work unrighteous deeds, since none remembers princely Odysseus among the people whom he ruled, kind father though he was. Yet I make no complaint against the haughty suitors for doing deeds of violence in insolence of heart, for they at hazard of their heads thus violently devour the household of Odysseus, saying, he comes no more. But with the rest of the people I am wroth, because you all sit still, and, uttering not a word, you do not stop the suitors, they so few, and you so many." Then answered him Evenus' son Leocritus, infernal Mentor, crazy-witted, "What do you mean by urging these to stop us? Hard would it be, for many more than we to fight with us on question of our food. Indeed, should Ithacan Odysseus come himself upon us lordly suitors feasting in his house, and be resolved at heart to drive us from the hall, his wife would have no joy, however great her longing, over his coming, but here he should meet shameful death, fighting with more than he. You spoke unwisely. Come, people, then, turn to your own affairs. But this youth here, Mentor, shall speed his voyage, and Halitherses too, for they are from of old his father's friends. But I suspect he still will sit about, gather his news in Ithaca, and never make the voyage. He spoke, and hastily dissolved the assembly. So they dispersed, each to his house, but the suitors sought the house of princely Odysseus. Telemachus, however, walked alone along the shore, and, washing his hands in the foaming water, prayed to Athene, "Hear me, thou god, who camest yesterday here to our home, and badst me go on shipboard over the misty sea to ask about the coming home of my long-absent father. All thy commands the Achaeans hinder, the suitors most of all, in wicked insolence." So spoke he in his prayer, and near him came Athene, likened to Mentor in her form and voice, and speaking in winged words she said, "Telemachus, henceforth you shall not be a base man, nor foolish, if in you stirs the brave soul of your father, and you like him, can give effect to deed and word. Then shall this voyage not be vain and ineffective. But if you are no son of him and of Penelope, then am I hopeless of your gaining what you seek. Few sons are like their fathers, most are worse, few better than the father. Yet because you henceforth will not be base nor foolish, nor has the wisdom of Odysseus wholly failed you, therefore there is a hope you will one day accomplish all. Disregard, then, the thoughts and plans of the mad suitors, for they are in no way wise or upright men. Nothing they know of death and the dark doom which now is near, so that they all shall perish in a day. But for yourself the journey you desire shall not be long delayed. So truly am I your father's friend. I will provide you a swift ship, and be myself your comrade. But go you to the palace, mix with the suitors, and prepare the stores, securing all in vessels, wine in jars, and barley meal, men's marrow in tight skins, while I about the town will soon collect a willing crew. The ships are many in sea-girt Ithaca, ships new and old. Of these I will select the best, and quickly making ready, we will sail the open sea." So spoke Athene, daughter of Zeus. No longer then lingered Telemachus when he heard the goddess speak. He hastened to the house, though with a heavy heart, and at the palace found the haughty suitors flaying goats and singeing swine within the court. Antinous laughingly came forward to Telemachus, and holding him by the hand he spoke, and thus addressed him. "Telemachus of the lofty tongue and the unbridled temper, do not again grow sore in heart at what we do or say. No, eat and drink just as you used to do. All you have asked, of course, the Achaeans will provide, the ship and the picked crew, to help you quickly find your way to hallowed Pylos, seeking for tidings of your noble father." Then answered him, the sweet Telemachus, "Antinous, it is not possible to sit at table quietly with you, rude men, and calmly take my ease. Was it not quite enough that in the days gone by you suitors wasted much good property of mine, while I was still a helpless child? But now that I am grown, and hear and understand what people say, the spirit swells within me, and I will try to bring upon your heads an evil doom, whether I go to Pylos or remain here in this land. But go I will, not vain shall be the voyage of which I speak, a passenger with others, since I can have command of neither ship nor crew. And this was what, a while ago, you judged was best." He spoke, and from the hand of Antinous quiet he drew his own. Meanwhile, the suitors in the house were busy at their meal. They mocked him, jeering at him in their talk, and a rude youth would say, "Really Telemachus is plotting for our ruin. He will bring champions from sandy Pylos, or even from Sparta, so deeply is he stirred. Or else he means to go to Ephyra, that fruitful land, and fetch thence deadly drugs to drop into our wine bowl, and so destroy us all." Then would another rude youth answer thus, "If he goes off upon a hollow ship, and wanders far from friends, who knows, but he too may be lost, just as Odysseus was, and that would make us more ado, for all his goods we then must share." and to his mother give the house, for her to keep, her and the man who marries her." So ran their talk. Meanwhile, Telemachus passed down the house into his father's large and high-roofed chamber, where in a pile lay gold and bronze, clothing in chests, and stores of fragrant oil. Great jars of old delicious wine were standing there, holding within pure liquor fit for gods, in order ranged along the wall, in case Odysseus, after all his woes, ever came home again. Shut were the folding doors, close-fitting, double. And here both night and day a housewife stayed, who in her watchful wisdom guarded all. Euryclea, daughter of Ops, Pysenor's son. To her now spoke Telemachus, calling her to the room. "Good nurse, come draw me wine in jars, sweet wine that is the choicest next to the wine you keep, thinking that ill-starred man will one day come, high-born Odysseus, safe from death and doom. Fill 12 and fit them all with covers. Then pour me barley into well-sewn sacks. Let there be 20 measures of ground barley meal. None but yourself must know. Get all together, and I tonight will fetch them, so soon as my mother goes to her chamber seeking rest, for I am going to Sparta and to sandy Pylos, to try to learn of my dear father's coming." As he said this, his dear nurse Euryclea cried aloud and sorrowfully said in winged words, "Ah, my dear child, how came such notions in your mind? Where will you go through the wide world? Our only one, our darling. High-born Odysseus is already dead, far from his home in some strange land. And now these men, the instant you are gone, will plot against you harm, that you by stealth may be cut off, and they thus share with one another all things here. No, stay you here, at ease among your own. You have no need to suffer hardship, roaming over barren seas." Then answered her discreet Telemachus, "Courage, good nurse, for not without God's warrant is my purpose. But swear to speak no word of this to my dear mother until the 11th or 12th day comes, or until she shall miss me and hear that I am gone, that so she may not stain her beautiful face with tears." Thus did he speak, and the old woman swore by the gods a solemn oath. Then after she had sworn and ended all that oath, she straightway drew him wine in jars, and poured him barley into well-sewn sacks. Telemachus, meanwhile, passed to the house and joined the suitors. Now a new plan the goddess formed, clear-eyed Athene. In likeness of Telemachus, she went throughout the town, and, approaching one and another man, gave them the word, bidding them meet by the swift ship at eventide. Nomon, next, the gallant son of Phronius, she begged for a swift ship, and this he freely promised. Now the sun sank, and all the ways grew dark, and now she drew the swift ship to the sea, and put in all the gear that well-benched vessels carry. She moored her by the harbour's mouth. The good crew gathered round about, and the goddess gave them zeal. Then a new plan the goddess formed, clear-eyed Athene. She hastened to the house of princely Odysseus. There on the suitors poured sweet sleep, confused them as they drank, and made the cups fall from their hands. They hurried off to rest throughout the town, and did not longer tarry, for sleep fell on their eyelids. Then to Telemachus spoke clear-eyed Athene, calling him forth before the stately hall, likened to Mentor in her form and voice. "Telemachus, already your mailed comrades sit at the oar and wait your starting. Come, let us go, and not lose time upon the way." Saying this, Pallas Athene led the way in haste, and he walked after in the footsteps of the goddess. But when they came to the ship and to the sea, they found upon the shore their long-haired comrades, to whom thus spoke revered Telemachus. "Come, friends, and let us fetch the stores. All are collected at the hall. My mother knows of nothing, nor do the handmaids either. One alone had my orders." So saying, he led the way. The others followed after, and bringing all the stores into their well-benched ship, they stowed them there, even as the dear son of Odysseus ordered. Then came Telemachus aboard, but Athene led the way, and at the vessel's stern she sat her down, while close at hand Telemachus was seated. The others loosed the cables, and coming aboard themselves took places at the pins. A favorable wind clear-eyed Athene sent, a brisk west wind that sang along the wine-dark sea. And now Telemachus, inspiriting his men, bade them lay hold upon the tackling, and they hearkened to his call. Raising the pine-wood mast, They set it in the hollow socket, binding it firm with forestays, and tightened the white sail with twisted oxhide thongs. The wind swelled out the belly of the sail, and round the stern loudly the rippling water roared as the ship started. Onward she sped, forcing a passage through the waves. Making the tackling fast throughout the swift black ship, the men brought bowls brimming with wine, and to the gods that never die and never have been born, they poured it forth, chiefest of all to her, the clear-eyed child of Zeus. So through the night and early dawn did the ship cleave her way,